Now let's talk about a top sirloin. Historically speaking, we would take this and make what's called face cut top sirloin steaks out of this. So we would cut this against this right here, about an inch thick. Now we still see this done at many retailers today. The problem with that cutting method is we end up with a really big steak first. The second problem is the muscle fibers on this cut right here are running this way, whereas this cut, it's running this way. And anytime we cut a steak, we always want to cut against the grain. So when we cut it like this, we end up cutting with the grain down here. That is not going to create the best eating experience when we do that. Now, I realize there is a time and a place where maybe that is appropriate, but you also have to keep in mind when you're giving your customer something that's less than optimum, you may not have that customer return because they might associate your store with something that is of lower quality. So I would highly recommend taking this and merchandising it a little bit differently. Again, that might be a way that you can still utilize, but also think about this way that I'm going to be showing you here in just a second. So to start this merchandising strategy, I'm going to go ahead and start by taking off the top muscle off of here. Now this muscle can be put into grinds, can be used for trim, whatever you need to be used for, but ultimately we need to get that off of this cut. So now that we've taken off that top muscle, we're going to go ahead and separate. We're going to remove the coulotte from the center cut top sirloin. So as you can see, there's a nice seam that runs between them. So we're just going to put our fingers in there and pull apart. Now that we've got them removed, let's start with our coulotte. We can take our coulotte and we're going to cut this fat off right here to trim it up. We can remove some of the other fat on top. And then you can see this thick layer of connective tissue that lies right on top of this. We're going to go ahead and slide our knife right underneath it and pull that off. Now we've taken our top sirloin and broke it into two different pieces. This would be our coulotte, and then this would be our center cut top sirloin. Keep in mind you do have a few different buying options when it comes to purchasing a top sirloin. You could buy it like we showed you here. We started with an XT top butt, but you could also buy what's called a two-piece top butt. A two-piece top butt is when these are actually going to come together, but they're already going to be separated, but they're going to come in the same bag or the same box. You could also come in if you just want coulottes or just want coulotte steaks, well, you can order just a coulotte. You could also order just a center cut top sirloin. So again, you have multiple options depending on what you're doing and your strategy to kind of determine what marketing strategy will work and how it's going to impact your overall yield and profit potential. So the coulotte can actually be merchandised and marketed in a couple of different ways. This could be marketed just like this as a coulotte roast. Now, the coulotte roast can have the fat cap on, or it could have the fat cap off. In this instance, we left it on, but you could also buy it a fat cap off coulotte. The other name for this that you might hear referred to occasionally is a picanha. It's the exact same thing as what we have here. Now, if we don't want a roast, we can also break this down into steaks. So when you break it down into steaks, make sure you take note of what way the grain is running on the muscle. So in this case, it's running this way. So we always want to cut our steaks against the grain. So to start, I'm just going to give this a little bit of a face cut. Now you can see these nice, beautiful coulotte steaks. We could go ahead and trim it up a little bit. The nice thing about these coulotte steaks is they do resemble a New York strip, and they actually will have a very similar eating profile as well. But they should come at just a slightly better price point. So they're a fantastic option to keep in stock in your retail case. Now let's move on to our center cut top sirloin. The first thing we need to do is go ahead and trim this up just a little bit. Now we have our center cut top sirloin, and I can tell you one of my favorite things about a center cut top sirloin is its versatility, especially in terms of the ability to cut different size steaks from it. In fact, what we could do if we chose is we could come here and cut steaks directly across the entire piece. Now those are going to be a little larger. We might want to cut those a little bit smaller, a little thinner, just to keep our weight down just a little bit. But we can also come in and actually separate what's called our 1/3 from our 2/3. You can see it's about 1/3 the size as our 2/3. Now you do that by first finding that line right there. That's going to tell us where we need to place our knife. There's a seam of connective tissue that runs between them, and if you'll notice, I use my knife just a little bit differently when I do this. I try to find the seam Now once we've separated this, you can see we have a 1/3 and our 2/3, simply on size alone. This is about 1/3 of the size of this. Now, again, you can see that connective tissue that sits right on there. Anytime that we can remove connective tissue, we can ultimately increase our eating experience. So I'm going to go ahead and take my knife and run it right underneath that. And we're actually going to do the same thing on the other side. You can see a little bit of that connective tissue right there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just go right underneath it. So now we have our 1/3 and our 2/3 trimmed up, ready to go. Now again, the beauty of a center cut sirloin is the versatility it offers. When holiday time, when we have big roasting season, these are fantastic roasting options. You could do nothing more. You could stop right here and sell them as some great roasts. However, you could also stake them out. Now you can see I could take this is sometimes referred to as a sirloin chateau, or 1/3, and I could take this and make what's traditionally called a baseball steak or a sirloin fillet. I could also take the other side and stake this out as well, and these are going to give you a little bit larger steaks. So again, it gives you some versatility in what you can offer in your meat case. I'm going to start here with our baseball steaks and show you what I'm going to do there. I'm just going to trim up or face cut this beautiful sirloin fillets. Now for our 2/3 side, we could take this, and again, I could cut steaks out of this that are just a little bit larger than what we have here with our baseball steaks, but I could also come in and just separate it in half. And by doing so, it allows me to create more baseball steaks. So now I've ended up creating some baseball steaks or sirloin fillets that very much look like a tenderloin fillet and will really enhance the visual appeal of your retail case. As you can see, we ended up with 10 sirloin fillets that we packed in 2 4-packs and 1 2-pack. And then we have some beautiful coulotte steaks here that would really elevate your retail case. With all of the trim, we were able to slice those a little thin and got some stir fry or fajita meat. We've also made sure to fill up each tray, and we use black trays here for that ultimate premium brand look. Also make sure that you're using the full 3-word phrase, certified Angus beef, on your scale labels. You'll also see that we use the full color certified Angus beef logo on all the packages for the best consumer recognition, because as you know, if it's not certified, it's not the best. And keep in mind to tell your customers to look for that logo. Now scan this code or visit certifiedangusbeef.com to order labels and to download the merchandising sheets on this cut and others. And that's your Certified Angus Beef Meat Minutes.